So let's go ahead and get started and talk a little bit about Gravity Sketch and some of the preferences that you may want to be paying attention to when you first load it up. So let's go into a new file. Here I have this plane. So let's look over here on this menu, and you can see this button right here, which is the non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed, so this is the dominant hand. But this blue button right here, I'm going to click on it, and this panel is going to come up. And I'm going to scroll down to the second one, and I'll use this button to choose this little button right here. That's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to, again, click on this. I'll go down, point to this, and choose that with my trigger finger on my dominant hand. And here we have four different panels to look at. And so the first thing is that you can have a mirror. And I'm not going to start off with a mirror. I'm just going to leave it the way it is for now. But what I will start off with is with this stage floor. And that gives me some kind of sense of where I'm at. Now, this little button called a vertical lock is really good if you're standing up and navigating around things. But if you're like me and like a lot of other Gravity Sketch users, you're sitting down, in some cases laying down, and you really don't need that. These two buttons are nice. One will zoom all the way out to see everything that you've got in your scene, which you can see I've got a bunch of stuff in the scene here. Not sure where that came from, but it zooms all the way out to see everything. And the other one will zoom all the way in. So this is this one zooms all the way to the home. And if we look at this, we'll see that we're at 100% scale when we're at home. And one of the things that is always kind of a good idea to consider working with is that I like staying in between 100, maybe an 130% scale. And so that means if I'm at like 79, I might want to push back and forth with my left hand. We talked about that earlier. But one of the things that we typically like to do is go here in our preferences, and I like the stage floor on. I like to show surface contours. So that means that when I'm editing, when I'm drawing something, I'm going to see the lines. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go in here, grab this, and we'll just grab something like this. And I'm going to go in here and edit. We're going to talk about how to get it. But now you can see, I want to be able to see those lines. And that's what that does, right? So let's delete that. That's exactly what that does. So we'll go back in here. And if I put it all the way to the right, I'll see those lines even when I'm not editing. So that's enabled. This means I see them only when I'm editing, which kind of works just fine. And then there's a grid button, but you can't actually use this grid button unless you go into this special area over here and you make sure the grid is turned on. So make sure that's turned on, and then you can come over here and you can click on the grid, and you can see now we have this grid. And the grid is really pretty cool as far as we use it a lot for just some basic geometry stuff. So those are the in here the things that we want. You of course want your world axis to be showing all the time, so you can see your Z and your X and your Y. So that's real important. And over here is mirror, and that means if you're going to build something like a car or something that has a it's bisecting a bisecting mirror plane, then you turn on mirror, and then when you draw, you'll see that that we're actually mirroring stuff around. So you can see that's what that does. So okay, and then this little red button here, that's an undo button. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Let's go back into preferences. So that's really it. I'm going to turn mirror off for now. And then over here we have scale snap, and that's the percentage thing. As you know, when we do this, that's what that is. I think I always just leave that alone. Ghost move means where you move something from. I leave that alone. Input, I leave all this stuff alone, except for this return after copy. I leave this on. I'm going to show you why. Is if I take and let's just say I draw, actually let's go back in here and choose. Okay, say I draw something like this, and then I grab it and then duplicate it. You can see it kind of is nice, but that first one actually moved, which is not what I want. So if I go back in here and I return after copy, now I'm going to go back and I'll draw and I'll grab it and I'm moving it and I'm mirroring it, right? Or I'm sorry, I'm not mirroring it, I'm duplicating it. And now that I've duplicated it, the original one went back. So it basically creates the duplicate the first time I click the button. So notice this is going to be right at the point here. So I'm going to grab this, move it out, and then I'll duplicate it right there and let go. And so there's the duplicate one. So that's really cool. So anyway, that's why you kind of want to make sure you put that on, because you don't want to lose the original position this one's in. This is for your hand. If you're right or left-handed, I'm right-handed. And then really, that's about it. This video tips one, it can be kind of a pain. And if you start seeing videos show up over your screen, the help, you might want to turn that off if that gets in your way. But you may need it at the very beginning. And of course, over here in this learn area, you've got all these videos that can help you. You can walk through some of this stuff, and
Welcome to your virtual.
They'll tell you how to do things as well. And of course, you can close those. But anyway, that preferences, that's pretty important. That you pay attention to these and you get this set up right. Again, we talked about this tool belt. We're going to want to turn that on. We're going to talk about why we want a tool belt turned on here in another video. But this is an important feature as well. And then the grid. And then here is what the scene looks like. And I like this custom scene. So this scene is a nice scene, but the lighting is terrible in this scene. But it's nice for if you're standing up and you don't want to get sick. This is a great scene for that. So, but if you're sitting down, it's not so hot. And this black one is okay also, but you don't get any reflections on any metal materials. So I like going into this custom one, and you get in here, let me pull this. In here we have, you can use HDR reflections, and you can choose which HDR to use. So this is scene reflections, outdoor, skyline, the zebra stripe. So you can choose whichever one you want. And then you have this gradient for your background. So the background can be solid or it can be color. And so this is the sky color. So if I want to make the sky blue, I'll go into here and I'll just use my trigger finger and I'll just select that blue. So I can move it. It'll snap to the center position. If I push it back in, it's going to get darker. So it's kind of a cool way of doing things. But that's how you set that. And you can see if I make it blue, you can see it's blue at the very zenith, the top of the sky. So, but I'm going to make it just a little darker at the top. And then in the horizon, I can make it a little lighter. And then of course on the ground, it's darker. So, that's kind of what I like. That's pretty much the way I like it. And this light right here will actually, if you take it and grab it. So I'm just using this sphere ball right here. And that's how you grab things. I can even grab, this screen. I can grab it, and I can grab this, and I can move it around, and I can set the lighting at different angles. And if I'm connected to my PC with either wirelessly connected to my PC, or if I'm connected with a cable, I'm going to get shadows. But I don't get shadows when I'm in the wireless mode, of the Quest 2, right? So the Quest 2 doesn't have shadows when it's just running on its own. So that's that. So those are the preferences. I mentioned a little bit earlier about grabbing. One thing about grabbing is that you can actually reduce this image or reduce this grab sphere, and you can make it as large as you want. So like in this case, I'm grabbing all three of these. How cool is that? So I'm grabbing all three. What if I want to group them? Well, if I want to group them, look, I've got them grabbed. I'm moving around. Notice this purple button, and the purple button's got a little group button. I click on that. Now these guys are grouped. So now I just need to grab them. I can grab anywhere I can grab them. Isn't that cool? And if I want to, while they're grabbed, I can go over here, and you see that purple button now is a break button. If I do that, now they're back to being ungrouped again. So that's how you can group things. You can hierarchically group things, so you can group things within things as well. So, and if I want to delete something, remember, I'm going to grab this light. I just hit that red button, that delete button, and now it sticks it back onto here. And I can grab this and hit the delete button, and I can, make this big. I can grab it and I can hit the delete button, and we're back all out. So anyway, that's it. So I'm going to exit out by hitting this exit button and turn off the recording.